Hello, everyone. Um, I decided spontaneously to kind of go live and have my coffee with you because I got ready. Because I am filming content for a new self-liquidating offer that I created together with Jessa, and we kind of just missing the intro. And yeah, this is what I'll be filming in a little bit. And I thought before I jump into filming, I just want to have my coffee with you and talk a few thoughts through that are related to realigning yourself in your business for growth. So I kind of want to share with you what happened in the last 2 weeks, kind of 3 week-ish to me. Actually started on the night before Mother's Day. And I think that in some areas it might not be relatable, but I think that it actually is quite relatable because I noticed myself doing this kind of self-sabotage at all stages of my business and in kind of circles. So I want to kind of share it with you and walk you through. So just quickly want to check if we're actually live. So if somebody should tune in and see this, you have the opportunity. Yeah, I think we're live. Okay, so if you should jump in and see this, you can say hi. Okay, so what happened on the night before Mother's Day was that I realized that I have actually some members made me aware. So when I was expecting Danny and was kind of I need to turn my life around because I need to change everything so I have enough money and time to actually be able to raise my child, which was something that I dreamed for and wished for so many years. I was in a very bad spot. I tried to desperately make things work. I was chasing shiny object. I started and stopped all kinds of things. Eventually I signed with a really high ticket program that overpromised and underdelivered, and nothing kind of truly was aligned. In that time, I created a vision board for myself, and I saw, I signed up for ClickFunnels because I knew it from working with clients already, and kind of their 2 comma club story always spoke to me. And back in those days when Danny was little and when I was working, I always dreamed and I had a vision board for myself of kind of walking on the stage and picking up the 2 comma club award with Danny. So, and what happened the night before Mother's Day was that I actually was reminded by some of my students, hey, wouldn't you already be eligible? And I actually submitted my kind of request to get the award, and I got approved for it. And that is something that I realized again and again in my business is sometimes we work really, really hard towards a goal, and we always move kind of the goalpost and think that once we've reached this goal, then we will be happy and satisfied, and we will finally feel like we're whole and good enough, and like we're secure now, right? And then it happens, and what you realize at that point is that nothing really changed. And although you might feel extremely grateful and everything, it also leaves you kind of with this feeling of emptiness and disappointment because you realize that you're kind of still the same person. Life is still coming with its up and down moments. There's still no guarantee, right? There's still other things that are so much bigger that could impact you, like your health of loved ones and all of that. So if we keep chasing this next success and we think that it will solve everything that we're struggling with, we will just inevitably be disappointed. And I'm sharing this with you because I see so many of, especially our kind of newer members who struggle with overwhelm, really struggling with this because they also might be in, a desperate, or what feels like a desperate situation right now, and think that I need to immediately figure out my income. I need to make so much a month, and then I can breathe. Then I can have a second, a calm moment, and I can do things the right way because right now I just need this to work. And what I can tell you is that this kind of survival mode, it never stops. Like no matter what next accomplishment you have. Once you get to that point, it's kind of a new level, because at one point you'll start to work with employees that you're then responsible for, right? You have more members, more demand. So you will, if you think that you need to rush away from where you are right now, and that there is a better spot than where you are right now, it will just inevitably lead to disappointment. So that's a kind of a little bit of a longer backstory too, because what happened in the night after I submitted the 2 Comma Club award was that I had a terrible nightmare about AI. And I've been following conversations and everything, but I wasn't concerned. But I had the nightmare and I was super concerned. And I had this in my business before. If you check my YouTube channel, about a year ago exactly, I made a video about struggling with high function anxiety. And I noticed that it always comes when I reach a big milestone, when a dream comes true, like I'm conceiving my son, I will be a mother. Like last year when I had my first 50K month and I was starting to build a team. So usually what kind of happens after I reach a milestone or after we solve things is there's this kind of emptiness, and the next kind of mode that happens usually is again like driving you back towards that survival mode, that's that kind of scarcity mindset. And it's just because we function like really well, right? Our brain is most functioning when we have actually more failure than we have success, because then we keep chasing for dopamine and we are more productive. So I got really in a rut though the last few days, because what I felt, and this is where I can emphasize with members who are struggling right now, after I kind of went down the AI rabbit hole, and I cannot recommend it, I was like, it's pointless. Like what I do right now, world will change so fast. It's like all pointless, right? And I think that maybe a few of our members who are struggling in the beginning right now and who are trying so hard, to get things off the ground and make it work, which is the hardest stage in your business to be in. The very hardest stage is when you're just at the beginning, because you have no momentum. You have this big, heavy stone in front of you, and you're looking all the way up the hill. You have no systems, you have no money to leverage, you earn. And I deeply feel for you, because that is you are at the hardest part. I already kind of am past that, right? I have a team. When I need a day off, you can also take a day off, right? It's a lie we tell ourselves, right? But I also wasn't in the mindset. But what I'm saying is I can emphasize, because this is the point of the journey where it feels pointless. It feels like there's no hope. And no matter what you do, what you can move right now might not lead you to where you need to go in a foreseeable time. So why not, drop it all together? And then that's typically when we see something on our news feed that promises a quick win, and we have this how's it called, the optimism of a new solution, right? We get excited until we see, okay, this solution also comes with the necessity of being consistent, and it has its trade-offs. So I was kind of in the last 2 weeks, because I had this idea of, holy cow, it's actually pointless. Probably we're just all overrun by this. And by the way, I did a lot of digging. I don't think that we will all be overrun by this, but I think we are at a very exciting and also very crucial kind of point in time where we all should educate ourselves, so we can all make sure that we're stakeholders in the conversation of how AI is made secure, how it's aligned, how it's governed, who can govern super intelligence, right? That I think will come based on the development. So I think it's something where we should all partake in educating ourselves and in the discussion, but it's probably not hopeless. And I want to kind of shout out to Jessa, because what she did was she completely pulled me out of that rut and was like, actually, it was kind of a conversation, but I owe it to Jessa that she pulled me out of the rut. I was like, I wish I could do something, and I would like to do some non-profit kind of work, but I don't even know where to start. And then I had the idea that we could actually do something where I know how it works, right? So there's a project that I'm following it's called the GATO framework, and it's a it's a framework that kind of ensures alignment across different layers. And that was the first time where I thought, okay, this is a realistic, optimistic approach. This is something I want to supported it personally, becoming a paid member, educating myself. But I also was like, okay, more people need to see this, more people need to learn this. I sent it out in my newsletter, but I realized, okay, I maybe not having the right conversation in the right way, and I need to find a way to kind of make my audience aware how it's relevant for them. And then I think what's good in kind of challenging time is to, if we default to things that we know about. So I was like, okay, how can I personally contribute with what I know? Because I'm not a software developer. I'm not like an expert, right? But I can, and in the GATO framework, you kind of see layers of how you can contribute. And I was definitely thinking, okay, there's a marketing, messaging, thought leader layer, and I know how to communicate, right? I know how to get reach, how to get messages across. So let me try to do something there. And so I thought, okay, actually there, and then I learned about AI incentives. So we will talk about realigning about that in a second. I was like, okay, maybe the way to get through to people and share how important it is, and that they should educate themselves, and that they should make themselves familiar with the underlying philosophy and ethics, would be by, talking with them about things that they immediately care, which is getting out of a scarce situation where they're desperately trying to make a living in a world that has cost of living crisis that is changing so much right now. So what if we would use a self-liquidating offer to show how we're using AI to create our digital products, and use that kind of as a non-profit self-liquidating offer to spread the message around GATO? And I kind of shared it loosely with Chessa that I would like to do this, and she was like, okay, let's do it. So, and suddenly there was this, okay, there is something, it feels like the smallest thing, but it's like a viable option of me moving things forward in the right direction. And I went from feeling so hopeless and disempowered to feeling like super empowered, feeling really aligned. And since like the last week, since we started working on it, we cracked out the whole mini course with all the templates, recorded the videos. I think it's really, really beautiful. We're almost about to finish it. And with that kind of flip in my head, knocking off things off the to-do list again. So I don't know how to explain it to you. I just have to be vulnerable with it. I was so depressed that I didn't shower for a few days. I was really freaking out of it, right? Like to a major extent. And that kind of flipped me back. And I want to share this with you because I want to share with you that I kind of get it, and that it's also, and I know that if there was not AI, my brain would have found a different problem to spiral me down. Because when we think about growing our business, we think that it will always go like this, right? But the truth is that it comes like in waves, and it comes like the ocean, So there will be growth phases, and then there will be phases where after growth, it's like a little implosion in your business, and you're like, okay, that worked, but what's next, right? So I kind of want to show you this also from it had to happen like this. So when we look at the last 12 months, the spikes are launches, right? And before that, these are also like mini launches of product. When we spread it out a little bit more, or let's maybe just look at the year to date, you also see kind of in between launches that we have those kind of fluctuations. And here we had a really big launch, and then we kind of have like going down again. And what will happen in your business, and when you try to grow, what will happen is that eventually, you're at this very frustrating point, maybe in the beginning, where you try to get this big stone rolling, and you push and you push and you push, and nothing moves. And then maybe you push and something moves. You have a free coaching call with somebody, and they give you a beautiful testimonial. You have your first paid client. You sell your first digital product. There's some momentum, right? But what inevitably happens after this first momentum is like you push the stone, it kind of has to roll back to you. And this is when you need to kind of recollect, realign, and say, okay, I can push again, right? And eventually you build up this momentum. But what you also need to know is kind of the bigger the lift, the harder the pushback, like especially after a big launch like we had in the last month. or after, reaching a really, really big milestone. I mean, it was printed out and glued on my wall that I will go up with Danny and I will have this 2 Comma Club award. People also report this, like, after they got engaged, when they were, in love for many years, and they've been desperately waiting for somebody to propose to them. Often there's this initial excitement, and then there's the disappointment. Same with lottery winners: initial excitement, then again the disappointment. And it's just because what we think the event will be, the outcome will be, it's not. It's just like a, how are those things called in the desert? Like, where you have a fata morgana. It's the German word. Like, it looks like an oasis, but then you come there and it's like, it's not. That's really how it is in business. And this is why I also wrote a post today that kind of brought it together. Before I go to the post, I also want to say a few other things that I noticed within the last few weeks that kind of pay into this idea of the necessity to always realign yourself after you made progress, right? After you gave it energy to recollect for the next kind of push. Is I put out a post because I'm so fed up with the shaming of people who are still working their 9 to 5, or who are still doing done for you work to kind of cross finance their growth. I think it's frankly disgusting and irresponsible to tell an unknown mass of people that it's time to quit their 9 to 5 without knowing their individual circumstances, right? Planting the seed that if you quit right now and you have a month left, or 2 months left, or 3 months left, you'll figure it out. Some might figure it out, don't get me wrong. But putting yourself in a situation where you have to figure it out with so much pressure will definitely put most of us, it does it for me. I don't know if some people might really have their mindset in check. I did not have my mindset in check enough to not do silly work. Like, I sold websites on Fiverr for $50, and I had an hourly rate after tax for around $2 after being head of marketing and sales, like in a really big company for years. That's what scarcity and you being in survival mode and having to figure it out and making it work immediately does to you. Signing up for a ridiculously expensive program, right? Hoping that this is the quick fix. This is what it does to you. So I'm really fed up with this. And I put out a post that I am a fan of cross-financing. And I think when we also think about how much momentum this needs, I'm a fan of cross-financing. Guys, do everything that you can to get yourself out of any scarcity. So when you push, you have all the energy for, realigning, because you at least know that you're headed in the right direction with this passion project, with what eventually should take over, right? And it's, what's realistic? Building it a year next to working on something. If you can replace your full-time income with coaching, with digital products, with eventually a membership within a year, you are golden. And let's please also normalize, because and everybody who shames you for cross-financing, everybody who says you are a slave that is still within the matrix, right? And I know that there are only certain people using these terms, but listen to other people who are not using these specific metaphors, but basically telling you the same thing. Listen to that, right? Be mindful, like, why somebody who knows nothing about my individual situation, why would somebody tell you to quit your job? Like, just as a rule of thumb, it's a good idea to get yourself and your family, while we have an economic crisis, into a next level uncertainty. Why would somebody tell you that? Maybe it's good for them if you're in uncertainty and scrambling and trying desperately grasping every straw. Maybe, right? So be mindful why people tell you the things that they tell you. This, right? And that was one thing about the alignment piece. So if you can get it done in a year, that's absolutely beautiful. If you can give yourself the time, and even if you need longer, where's the harm, right? Unless you have put yourself with the back against the wall, why being in such a rush. There are people signing up for my program, and their first question is, okay, which videos do I not need to watch? I'm trying to teach you to build a 7-figure online membership. All of the videos, I created all of the videos because that's all of the things that you need to know. I'm frustrated that people tell you that a marketing tactic, right? Like this reel made me X amount last week because I eventually sold the digital product from there. They sell you the marketing tactic as the business model. That might work for them because they have a certain standing and they have product to market fit and people want their products. Yes, then it's a little tiny piece of the puzzle, but that's not a business model, right? Can we stop labeling marketing tactics as business models, right? If you want to build a real business that you eventually scale to multiple 7 figures, well, it needs a lot of videos because it needed a lot of time to figure everything out. And if you are in such a rush, and again, I fully emphasize with that, I have been there, I get it, I really do get it. But I'm telling you, you need to calm the down, you need to slow that down, because if you're trying to rush it right now, you don't want to watch this hour-long video, you will pay for that hour with months later. Is it really worth it? Or can you do something else for yourself right now so you're not with the back against the wall and you can actually build something solid, something legit, not try to, try it over and over again because there is something in you that tells you, but it has to be easier. I personally think that I have not seen, show me if it's there. I'm open, but I have not seen it simpler if it's actually providing value. And if it's not just, this is a marketing tactic that worked for me, I teach you the tactic and you can teach others the tactic, which in all fairness, if somebody says coaching and marketing coaching is multi-level marketing, it's obviously BS and they have not understand the business model behind it, or they purposely don't want to partake in the discussion, right? So marketing coaching is not a pyramid scheme, but I do get that people get the idea if the whole spiel is just, this is this one tactic, I teach you the tactic, and the tactic is the product. So I get why people get the idea. It's still not multi-level marketing, it's still like a different business model and a different function, but I get why people feel put off because there's no value added, right? Can we agree on that? There's no value added, right? It's just the value that's added is that everybody sells it through their unique personalities and traits. But I think that we can do so much better, right? I think that we can actually do so much more. So going back to realigning yourself, slow down, slow down. Okay, if you feel like in a desperate situation, there are other things you can do to get yourself out of there. As I said, like I did a lot of done for you work. I eventually got off of Fiverr, right, and charged a little bit more for my funnel building and web design and ad services. It was still working over hours and many more hours than I wanted as a new mom, but it got me to a place where I could build this business from a place of purpose with a sense of purpose, right? And once I was there, I still, like right now, had those spirals of, isn't it all meaningless? Doesn't it all like not make sense? Should I not so those kind of also knowing that once you've nailed it, like still, like I thought after my first month where I had signed clients for 10K that I was like, here we go, 10K months, baby. Just to fall down again, right? It takes, first off, when you think like you got it, it takes a while to get like very consistent. And once you're very consistent, you typically kind of the flip switch and you have another problem. You have more demand than you can handle. You need to build a team. Now you have a team that you need to take care of. So now you need to make sure that the demand keeps coming in so you can keep, providing for your team as well. So it's kind of up leveling in waves as well. So realigning. And now that you have all the context, I want to kind of share what I propose as in realignment and what really for me flipped the switch and what really helps me. So I think also just knowing about those cycles that you'll go through and giving yourself the grace and be like, okay, I'm in a low mode right now. What is the small, most meaningful thing that is still alignment with this right business, this valuable business that brings more than, more to people, right? And I know you guys, I know most of you guys in your heart, you are here because deep down you are deeply empathetic people. You care, you want to make a difference, you want to make an impact, you're thinkers. And I know so many of you, I observe the conversations, I see how you treat each other. I would say there's a very, very small percentage of people that has low ethics and that doesn't care about really genuinely, leaving better things behind and creating something better. So be prepared for low times. Be prepared for times when you question yourself, especially if the stone isn't rolling yet or has not even moved yet, and you question if it ever will. Tell yourself, okay, I know it's not me. I know it's a pattern. I know what this journey looks like. I know that people who try to shame me for a completely normal journey are probably the ones that want to profit off my struggle right now, because there is a market for solving my problem in the struggle by making me believe that there is an easier way out than doing the right work consistently, right? You know that it's completely normal to feel like that you will have phases where you have low energy, and the most that you can do is, no, I want this. No, I got this. Here's the thing I can commit to, I can work on today. And then also knowing like you will eventually be very excited, like reaching the next milestone, but eventually you'll also have kind of a downer phase after that, which you should just use to recollect and kind of push again. Okay, so the things that I propose to sustain this mentally, more or less, is something that I shared today. In a post. So also has something to do with AI, like loosely connected. As I said, there is in the meantime, after being so scared that I didn't shower. I think that it's actually very, very interesting, and that it's a beautiful, exciting opportunity to see us as humans and our minds in kind of a mirror, and understand kind of, it's so interesting things, right? What do we believe to be true, right? If should AI ever get like conscious, does it then equal life, right? Or is life, something instilled and it can never be the same? So I think it will also reveal a lot of what we truly are. And I think that's a very, very exciting time actually as well to live in, if you think about that. So after, I digested my fear a little bit, I think it's actually really, really good to kind of learn from this mirror and kind of use it as a mirror for how we behave. Because very soon things like us being, productive in a certain extent will not matter anymore. What will matter is how deep we understand certain dynamics. Humans, our emotional intelligence will play a role, our niche knowledge will play a huge role, right? So the things that will get us ahead are not necessarily working harder. I think that we will have to develop a lot of critical thinking to kind of adapt. And I think it's beautiful to use concepts that are now more relevant than ever, to kind of make sure that we thrive on this technology, and that we're kind of riding the wave instead of getting overruled by it. So one of the kind of main topics that I'm personally interested in as a human stakeholder in the topic is AI alignment, right? So researchers are currently struggling to find the answer to the question how we can ensure that AI behaves and will keep behaving in a way that is beneficial to humans. So one of the most promising approaches is there to use blockchain technology or something comparatively to create incentive structures. Incentives for AI would be access to more data and more energy. That is, from what we can anticipate from a logical standpoint, what it should want. more data and more energy to kind of process that data. So for independent agents, that would be, independent AI solutions, right? So we think about the super intelligence as this like one big Skynet thing in the sky or robot, when in reality there are many different models of intelligence, like more specialized, or also people who work on AGI systems out there, and they all kind of are independent agents. So the idea is, at the moment, that I find is most promising is that we align these agents by building an intrinsic reward structure that rewards with small doses behavior that is beneficial for humans, right? And so the idea is, if we have more and more aligned agents, we would be very quick in understanding agents that don't behave, and they wouldn't have enough access to data and energy to make potentially like big damage, right? I think that's a very promising concept. But I also think it's like a really, really promising concept for us to think about: what are the things that we want to reward ourselves for? What are the things that we want to say, if I do things in this way, what do we even measure as success? What do we even measure as the goal? If for me reaching the 2 Comma Club award left me in nothing but a 2 weeks depression, is it really my goal to go after these kind of results? Is that the right reward structure? Do you understand me, right? Or do we need to find other or do I need to reward myself for other things, right? So what I'm saying is shift what is the goal, shift what is wanted behavior, shift what is beneficial behavior for you as a coach. So what I think, what we should focus on, instead of the number of clients or the number of sales, is client results and satisfaction in the form of social proof, shareable social proof, and testimonials. Okay, so because if I have this, I automatically get that over time. I don't even have to worry about it, but I can also at the same time ensure that this is increased number of clients and sales is coming from the right place. It is not coming from me pushing sales, right? It is not coming from me using sleazy tactics. It's not coming from me doing more cold DM outreach, promising the moon, right? It's not coming from me promising unrealistic results. It's coming from a place of, these people get results so much so they love the transformation that they go through and the progress that they make, that they're sharing about it. Okay, so focusing on a different kind of what is desirable, what do I want to get? Then instead of maximizing short-term revenue, focusing on growing monthly recurring revenue and a loyal client base that are ready to opt for anything you create. Especially in this world right now, you guys, you need to double down on building your personal brand, being known as somebody who contributes value, and building relationships. Because it could be that in 2 years from now, one of the core parts of my business is also done for you digital products, right? Or the membership model. With how fast things are changing right now, it could be that in 2 years from now, maybe people have their own journaling AI assistants and they don't even buy digital journals anymore. Or, instead of, or a large variety of digital products gets wiped out because there are artificial intelligent dynamic solutions for that. It could also go in the other direction, that the development of artificial intelligence sparks a completely new wave and genre of digital products, right? Around how to use it and safety and whatnot, right? It can go either or direction. But what I know is that if I have built trust with my audience, and if I have proven to be a valuable contributor, if I have proven to be a good agent, I will stay connected and I will always have opportunity, because I invested in those relationships and I didn't care about making my money up front. I was like, I show up for you every single month. You stay as long as that provides value for you, right? And I think that's a much more beneficial deal, which is why we should reward monthly recurring revenue, retention, increasing customer lifetime value, why that should be worth more than having the equal amount of money upfront. In my opinion, that is a much more aligned, beneficial, secure way of thinking and of holding yourself. Next kind of focus shift we want to think about is, I talked about this, instead of chasing these quick fixes, right? Last year it was reels. Everybody now wanted to sell coaching, with reels. And while reels are great, and I personally also create them, again, those things are just small pieces of the puzzle. So we cannot confuse these marketing tactics that might get somebody amazing results because they already have built trust with their audience, right? And no matter what kind of communication or offer somebody who has built trust with their audience throws at their audience, they will eventually get sales, right? So let's not confuse that somebody who has already built trust and who already has product to market fit and marketable solutions, let's not confuse their sales success with with how effective the methodology is, right? Again, you have to take a step back and you have to look at things in a more holistic way, right? So be critical with that. Don't confuse those marketing tactics. Don't grasp for them like they're the meaningful straw. Instead, deeply understand why do I want to build this business? Why do I want to build my personal brand, right? It is your long-term insurance to do that. Even if you go back to a job, if you do this work and you build a personal brand around your passion, you get skilled in something that has value on the market, you understand this once, you learn how to carve out your own thoughts and opinions and philosophy, how to be a critical thinker and how to develop a voice around high quality thoughts that you produce, you are needed everywhere. So you need to think about, why am I doing this? Of course I want to build a business right now, but it's about who you become. This is why, people who have, this is not my first 7-figure business. Before that, I was involved in an e-commerce venture and we took it in 9 months from 0 to 12 million in turnover. Before that, I have worked as head of marketing and head of e-commerce, and we have built the department after I took it over, from 0 to 1 million in sales in the first year, 5 million in sales in the second year. Why is that? Because I have become, and I'm increasingly becoming, a certain person over time, right? And that is something nobody can take away from you. So when you think about what is my why, you should be like, my why is that building this business will build me as a person. It will make me stronger and smarter and more resilient, and it will also make me happier. It will also give me purpose. I think one of the most fulfilling things we can do as humans is to help others to actualize who they want to become, to help them to become this version of themselves that they know they're meant to be. It's really fulfilling. It kind of ties back to what we want, what we are. We're social beings. We love helping each other. We love learning from each other. It's very fulfilling. So really dig deep into your why. We have a question. Oh, thank you, love. My business is about teaching coding to AI, entrepreneurship to kids. My strategy is to publish a series of books that will drive traffic to my main membership. My plan is to have an on-demand course plus community and projects. My question is, I'm a bit stuck. Should I start by the membership or the books, and how to validate that there is demand early on? Thank you in advance. Okay, so what I would do is I would not necessarily focus on books because they are not perceived as a new opportunity. So you need a vehicle that presents a bit of a new opportunity. And for example, one of the things we teach in Funnels and Ads Pro is how to turn an ebook or a workbook into a planner. So it's more interactive. It's more like a step-by-step versus like a more passive consumption of information. So I would shift the framework. What I would do is I would probably pre-sell workshops, themed workshops around certain topics. We have a complete workshop funnel kit as well, and I can also share the live workshop step-by-step with you. I would pre-sell paid workshops just to validate the different ideas. And then I would repurpose the paid workshop into a planner or a toolkit, something more tangible, and then sell the workshop replay as the order bump. That's what I, for example, do in my planner funnel. So I'm just quickly popping this here in the description. Let me know where you're watching from. Actually, I can just put it everywhere here, and then you should get it. This is how you can also validate the idea, right? So if people are attending the paid workshop, and even if you have just a handful, you know that you're onto something, right? When somebody validates your idea or angle with some money, and always think about solving a specific problem with it. So I can show you what we have on the plate for this mini course that we're creating. So, for example, we have the digital product bakery.ai is how we call it. This will be the nonprofit SLO that I talked about. Fastest and most fun way to learn how two creators who are actually selling thousands of digital products per month bake their goods. And then what we will have in here is free recipes that we do with them. So we create social media post templates, we create printable journals, and we create a Google Sheet dashboard. So it's, as you can see, it's very hands-on and practical. And then how we deliver it is we kind of, for every one of the recipes, so we have an introduction, right? There will also be AI ethics and alignments, and this is where I want to put the GATO framework in. I'll also share the GATO framework link after. And then for each of the recipes we have, this is how you research, this is how you create the content, this is how you make the designs. Look at that. I think Jessa has outdone herself. Then how to create your product image, how to share it. And then as a bonus, we always give the template plus like a resell license. And we'll always, we will also add from Secret Weapon PLR a video from a challenge where we show how to rename, reframe, reskin. So not everybody's selling the same product. So why I'm showing you this is don't think of an ebook. Think about if I was to break down the ebook, if I would create something, I even put it in the copy on the sales pitch, because I think if you would want to think about front-end offers in that way, how I described it here is a hyper practical implementation focused course and research bundle. Okay, so ideally your self-liquidating offers are hyper practical and they are implementation focused, right? So because we always want to solve a specific problem with that. If you want to dive a little bit deeper into front-end offers, I also can recommend, I have on my YouTube channel a video that's called the 9 Deadly Sins of Mini Offers. I would also check that out. And I would not do ebooks. And it can be the information you had planned for the ebook, right? So what I'm proposing is to just change the container of how you package it. Thank you so much. I feel so safe and appreciated in our communities, and I'm so grateful that there's so many beautiful people who are here and who want to do things right. I think that's wonderful. Okay, I want you to get, before, I don't know, I'm very sensitive at the moment, like, but in a positive sense. I'm very, very, and see, I'm feeling even more grateful for this comment than for reaching the 2 Comma Club milestone. What's meaningful is the community we've built. It's that the safe haven that we have, that is much more meaningful than the milestone. So we should, or I want to be proud of that. That is what actually makes me feel fulfilled and like I'm doing something that has purpose and is meaningful. The other thing is just a milestone. It feels good for your ego for a second, but there's no deeper meaning behind it. I think that's why when we also measure the wrong things and when we reward ourselves towards the wrong things, first off, we stop enjoying the journey, right? Because it just gets about getting to this point, making these financial means or ends meet, etc., right? So we're just focusing on that, so that we're so much pushing ourselves then that we forget to enjoy the journey, and we get like really angry and frustrated and impatient with ourselves, which is an energy that pushes, by the way, clients away like crazy, right? Because it's not nice to be around somebody who is so frustrated, right? And yeah, we cannot tap into our creativity from that point. So we need to reward ourselves for other things. We need to be proud of ourselves for other things. And that's actually when kind of the financial success comes more or less on automatically. For me, it was really this, once I allowed myself to cross finance, take my time with the memberships as long as I need. I was a year like pretty stuck on around like 100 members, but eventually I figured it out, right? But in that year, it was still not bad. I was still like very, very proud of myself, right? It was still building the community and everything was kind of okay, because we, through also doing done for you ads work, we were in a relatively stable place. So I think that allowed me to do it right, and to get the community, to build everything in the right way from the right place. Yeah, so, and this is also where, you would want to understand, why are we doing this, right? What's the deeper purpose? It's who we are becoming. It's what we are creating, not only for ourselves, but for others, how we try to shine our little light into the world, hopefully making it a little bit of a better place with what we discover and learn along the journey. And to do it from our values, right? And that's also something that I discovered way too late. We did that in the branding and messaging intensive. We need to think about our values a lot more, because our messaging is actually the direct result from our values. It's kind of what makes us unique. So, solid foundation and system over the next kind of hack. And then instead of thinking of trying to beat the competition, right, and get ahead of the competition, tune in with yourself. Give yourself the answers. Double down on what makes you uniquely you, and don't look left or right. If you think about it, this whole like little beautiful project resulted from an immediate existential crisis. But it's like such a unique, beautiful product. Jess and I had so much fun creating it. We're actually so proud of it. We're like, this sets a new standard for us, what SLOs are. And sometimes from these things, from our values, from what we believe in, like really beautiful and unique things can be born. And instead of looking left and right and seeing what other people do, we can double down and do more things based on what is important and meaningful to us right now. Okay, so I recommend, we are proud of us for if we showed up today, if we used Eisenhower matrix to manage our time, our focus, and our emotions, right? So I'll be the first to admit that I'm still learning to manage my emotions. I think I'm an adult, and I think that we should all like learn this more in school. But I'm really just, every day still learning how to manage my own emotions, how to manage myself, how to manage my anxiety, how to manage my frustrations, how to be patient and stuff like that. And this is kind of really demanding inner work, and we should be proud of ourselves for doing that. So I think that's something we should pat ourselves on the back for and say, you know what, I'm proud because I'm doing it, because I'm over here like wearing my big girl pants and managing my emotions. Did you implement feedback loops and optimize strategically and with patience, right? Was I being reactive, turning this top of funnel video views campaign off because it didn't generate sales? Or did I let it run for 7 days, blowing out $1,400 because I made the commitment that I will test it, right? So thinking more of, hey, did I plan my next hypothesis of how to generate growth strategically, and am I actually testing the hypothesis? So also detaching from the outcome. It is correct to make this hypothesis, to test it, and to lose the money. I'm more proud of myself for losing the $1,400 for properly testing this hypothesis over if I had shut it off after the second day. because then I would have gained no insight, right? And I know that over time, some or quite a lot of these tests cost me money, but they also brought me to a place where I'm spending 70,000 euros a month on ads profitably. Because, we have to test. So I'm more proud of myself for quote unquote losing those $1,400, but I made the right hypothesis. I ran a test, and the test outcome was this is not a strategy we use moving forward. But I did everything right. So I hope you can see the difference, right? I could be mad at myself and I could be frustrated and say, I blew $1,400 for nothing. Well, that's not true, right? Because it might have as well came out differently, right? And I had this learning. So now I know that it's not scratching in the back of my head anymore that I should test this video view campaign strategy. And when a member asks me, shall I test video view strategy? I can say, look, here's my results, here's my findings, right? This is what you can take into consideration for your own hypothesis. I am proud of myself for following the protocol, and the outcome is not important because it's like flipping a coin, right? I cannot know unless I test. And if I interrupt the test because I cannot manage my emotions going, eventually enduring that the coin lands on the side that I don't think is beneficial for me, then I'll never strategically optimize. Then I can just always shut in the dark, throw spaghetti on the wall and be grateful for whatever sticks. But that's not a way of reliably scaling, right? This is why we have to shift how we think about those things. You are a long-term thinker and can appreciate that everything you do gets you further, even indirect. So that kind of goes hand in hand with that, right? So if I was thinking short-term, I would be like, I blew out $1,400 for nothing. Thank you for nothing, right? That was a waste of my time and my money. Well, the long-term thinker in me says, well, if we always make the best hypothesis based on what we know in any given moment, and we test it deliberately, and we make optimization, and we test again, eventually that will lead us to a much better point than somebody who is never willing to risk or lose anything testing hypothesis, right? So I know that even if this didn't necessarily directly lead me closer towards my goal, the learning and the insight that I gained from this will eventually indirectly lead me closer towards my goal in the future, right? So, and I'm proud of myself that I know this. And if you are a long-term thinker, right, and you're like, I'm posting consistently on social media, and I've been posting for 6 weeks consistently, and I have no client, but you know what? I'm still doing it, and I'm proud of myself because I know eventually it will equate to something, and it will equate to something that somebody who isn't willing to do it with faith until they see results, they'll never get to that place, right? So if you can think like that, you're so ahead. Like you in the 1% ahead of everyone else. You worked on your philosophy, signature transformations, and your unique solutions today, right? So this is kind of what I said, what will also set you apart. Instead of looking for the next quick fix to market something you have seen from a competitor and now try to remodel yourself, instead have an honest conversation with your audience, like I did with that post, like I have with you right now, right? Decided to just spontaneously have my coffee with you before recording the videos. Did you connect with your audience today? Did you try to provide value today? Did you show up for them today? If yes, this was a good day, right? Then it was a good day. It was not necessarily a good day because we made X amount of sales. X amount of sales is the result of good days we had in the past communicating with our audience. Okay? So it's coming later. The result is coming later, but you need to reward yourself for having the conversation with the audience because you planted the seed for what's coming later. That you had a good day today was not created today. It was created a few months back. You love what you do and you find value and fulfillment in the work itself. I think that's so important. And again, if you can't find that, you're either blocking yourself because you're in immediate scarcity, or it might not be the right thing for you to work on. Then ask yourself, what am I truly passionate about and what do I truly want to bring to the world? But very often we're frustrated and we feel disconnected from what we do, again, because we're not measuring our joy and success based on how fulfilled we feel doing the work, but on how much we think it generated results right now, right? When the majority of things that will generate results for you will show results in a few weeks, in a few months, maybe even in a few years. So if you always measure how much fun you have doing something with how immediate it leads to more sales, more income, more social proof, more, clapping from your peers, then you'll not enjoy what you do for very long. And then last kind of thing that I want to give you, you are driven by making an impact first and a higher income second. And I think that really, if you can think about it like this will really make a huge difference. And I can tell you from my experience, I remember last year in September, I knew, because my dad started in May to help me, like, with all the numbers, with all the cash flow, with all the tax things, to always kind of have a forecast. And last year in September, I knew that I would be able to sustain the team, have a certain amount of income after tax every single month. And it was, is it 4 figures? 4 figures, yeah, definitely. So it was not super high, right? It was just like, oh, I can definitely pay the rent. We can definitely, go for dinner like once a week. I definitely can order new shoes online whenever I want. After this point, based on the income, my happiness did not increase on the income at all. And this is what a lot of people say. Like, once you have a certain standard where you kind of feel safe, your happiness does not increase with more income. At least I think it's for most people, it's not. Like, I have no, and maybe I feel different, once we move like to the new home or stuff like that. But it really doesn't make such a big change. But what makes me feel like super happy and super successful is, for example, when I see my students' results. For example, when we put together such a lovely digital product where I'm like, I'm so proud. Like, if I would have bought this from somebody else, I would be like so jealous and would want to make it better. And now we have something that I'm so proud of selling, right? So I think if you can find joy in impact first and income second, income will always follow. But it comes from the right place. It comes from the right place in the right way, and much more sustainable. So reward, think about where you have your focus. Think about what you're proud of. I think if somebody had a flopped launch, but they did all the right steps and they stayed consistent till the end, and then they did a debrief, and then they analyzed, like, maybe I have not had big enough audience. Maybe I didn't nurture enough before the launch. Maybe something with my offer, sales pitch, or whatever was wrong. I'm so much more proud of this person versus a person that already maybe had a bigger following or whatever, or had a super flashy offer where they promised you the moon, and then they had a really successful launch, right? I'm much more proud of the first person. And if the first person keeps going, they'll eventually surpass the second person, right? Because second person is not relying on sustainable success pillars. They're relying on overpromising. They may be relying on existing relationships that are exhausted at one point, right? Versus the other ones are just relying on, I'm devoting myself to doing the right things consistently, and I'm trusting that over time they will lead to the right results. So be super, super mindful what you're rewarding yourself for, and what you give yourself a pat on the back for, and what you consider a success in your business. And never be ashamed or afraid to cross finance. Always allow yourself to take a breather, take a step back, see if what you do is still in alignment. Critically question when you think that this is finally the quick fix straw that will get me out of the thing, right? Very likely it's just there to make somebody else more income. Okay, so let me see if there are more questions. Hi. Okay, thank you. But I feel it's so hard to reach teenagers. That's why I thought books, not ebooks. Sorry to interrupt. No worries. Physical books. Physical books are a little bit hard because, of course, you can do free plus shipping and you can offset some of the cost, but there's also a lot of logistic that goes into it. And I know how profitable the average book funnel is. And typically it's only valuable because people have high ticket offers in the back end. So they're happy to lose $20, $30 per book sale. because eventually they can convert enough people into a high ticket, I'd be a little bit critical. And if you look into the paid workshop kit, I think it also has the slides and everything in there. Identify like smaller topics. And maybe also, for example, one like really cool project I saw on YouTube was like build your own AI app with no code tools. Like I think they used Bubble or something like that. And they showed how to connect to OpenAI's API and how to write like, or how to create a little copywriting creator. And that was like a really cool project. So maybe, you can create like a fun project like that with some free tools that they can try. I think it's a lot about like doing a little project, giving them a little quick win. I personally think it would be much easier sale. Hi, Evelyn. I want to grow my email list and create a SLO for people who want to learn how to use watercolor for mindfulness to set their minds off daily worries, but are not sure where to start or how it works. Would a quick start journal or 30-day mindful art challenge work best? Any suggestions are welcome. Thank you. So I would probably, I tell you what I would buy. I would buy something that is like 5-minute mindfulness. And by the way, because 5-minute gratitude journals work like really well. So I would do like 5-minute mindfulness where you have a little drawing prompt, right? And with a little thought prompt. I'm not sure if you're familiar with our art journal from Secret Weapon, but maybe you could have something similar for the watercolor art. And then I would have like a basic tutorial to teach them a few skills, and then they can use them throughout the prompt. So, maybe you can teach them how to draw a leaf and flowers and the sun. So a few like quick wins with watercolor that you can give them. And then combine those with soulful prompts that would spark their mindfulness like throughout the day, like in the moment prompts. Here you can see you can borrow some prompts from here, or come up with your own that are more geared towards mindfulness. And maybe it could also be things where you have like some things pre-drawn and they just need to fill in with the watercolor. Or you could also have some things that teach them some foundational techniques. So here you can see, draw something that reminds you of the last time you felt deeply relaxed. Draw an item from your childhood that reminds you of your true self. Right? So this is for drawing, but I'm sure you can come up with something with watercolor. So I would have like a beginner's quick win tutorial where you say like, after this, you'll be able to draw some things you didn't even know you can draw, and give them some like really fun quick wins so that they get inspired. And then have a journal where you say, for 5 minutes, draw something just for 5 minutes every single day and think about the prompt. So a quick win of how to create a daisy or color in the daisy would feel like could be a free lead magnet. You don't necessarily. Let me see what I would do for a lead magnet. Oh, a watercoloring mat. Yeah, watercoloring sheets, something like this. I would do mindfulness watercoloring sheets. If you're in Secret Weapon, we even have right now, this is a limited monthly edition, so please be quick downloading it if you are in there. Or, you can always make like your own coloring pages. So it could maybe be like the mindfulness coloring pages that they can use with watercolor. Something like that would be, I think, really cool. collection of a few of those, and then the other ones can be with prompts and with more information and with maybe some inspiring stories, things like that. Okay, you guys, I just actually wanted to quickly hop on. Now I've been live like for an hour and my coffee's still there. We'll have our normal live Q&A on Friday, and I really look forward. So we make sure to submit your question, and if you're in Funnels and Ads Pro or Coaching Mini Membership Method, also please make sure to submit your question for the call. And yeah, oh, there's another question. Happy to catch it. How do you balance your energy between working with your members and building funnels, optimizing your funnels? Membership engagement is always a priority. So I found that I actually best engage with my members and re-engage my members through my free social media content. I have a lot of members who also follow me on social media, and by kind of documenting my journey and my mental state and sharing member wins, it actually drives people back to the membership. So this is also why I said getting the social proof results from members is a priority for me, because it's not only there to acquire new customers, make new people join the memberships. It's especially a retention tool because it reminds people that, wait a second, yes, we have it there. I have this. I just need to use it, right? So for me, membership engagement happens a lot through my free content and my newsletter because it drives people back to the memberships. And then we have in the memberships the coaches that answer the questions. But what I noticed is I want to be more present, and I will facilitate this with like more live streams and stuff like that, because I don't want to lose touch too much to my with my members. I also engage like on posts whenever I can, but just the sheer volume, it would not be possible. So I leave that to my team, but I also try to be more visible like this, share my thoughts more, share the ethics more behind Coach Growth Hub. And I think that's like really important. And the way I kind of balance it with building funnels and working towards the challenge is I usually have Cheryl called me out this week. She was like, "You working on something? You're disappearing." Because I can really, I'm like a crazy professor, and I vanish in the forest, and then I come back, and I'm like, I created this thing. So I can really go like into a deep hole. What I'm really trying to do is writing at least a couple long form posts, like the one I shared with you, to really make sure I'm always kind of documenting my thoughts, and I'm working on cultivating my philosophy and my critical thinking. I think that's a huge part, and it helps me with re-engaging members, but it also helps me to not disappear too much while building funnels. And when we build funnels, it's also, there's often like a story behind the product, right? Like with the 50K roadmap or with the coaching planner or with this product right now. I shared with you the story behind the product is Evelyn had an immediate mental health crisis and wasn't able to shower for a few days because she had existential AI angst. And now we're doing a nonprofit SLO to kind of take ownership in the discussion and kind of work out how we can contribute. So I think that kind of documenting what are we working on, why are we working on this, how do we think about things, right? So how do we, for example, think about we for example used Midjourney also, right, to create certain graphics and to discover color palettes, etc. But we're extremely mindful in how we use it. And so it was also like a discussion, to what extent do we include that in the course, right? Also in a way that our user will always be safe if Midjourney should change something about their terms of service, or if, because this is an area that is so rapidly evolving, or if there should be like legal changes in how you can use AI art, right? We have a responsibility towards our audience to kind of make them aware, wait a second, it's actually like gray area still, because nobody knows what kind of data sets those AIs were trained on. I think except with Stable, not sure if Stable Diffusion, they know what it was trained on. But it could actually in the future lead to copywriting issues. So we need to be mindful to say, okay, so here is how you can use it to get inspired for a color palette or for how to lay things out. well, you actually should not use it in your digital products, right? So and those kind of processes that you go through when trying to make a really good SLO or building a really good funnel, those are all things you can communicate with your audience, because you will always reveal your values, and you will always reveal where you are in life and what you're concerned about, and you know, kind of what you're working on, and that will always be the most insightful and valuable thing for your people. No, that's fine. I didn't clarify it, and I'm always happy to ask questions. I'm grateful you're also engaging and everything. So please don't think that was good, great, excellent. I'm a new coach and just started. I've created a lead magnet and I don't have any followers. Can I make the lead magnet more visible through Facebook ads? Absolutely. So what you would want to check out in Coach Growth Hub is the section about in the lead funnel where I also share how we use Facebook lead gen ads to grow our email list and social media at the same time. So it's a specific format. I quickly show it to you. I think that paid ads are really, really good. I did that in the beginning, right? I had no connections to the industry, and I also didn't have massive time to kind of promote it. So I used ads. What you can also do, by the way, love, is we have the weekly promo emails. So it's in the groups. You can get always featured on our weekly promo emails. Just look in the group for promo email, okay? And in the meantime, it's 34,000, so it's already bigger. And then you just need to submit your lead magnet on the form, and then you get also sent out. And as a Coach Growth Hub member, you can also promote your freebie in the free Coach Growth community here. So you can also use that. It has almost 9,000 members. And then you can also run ads. So I quickly want to show you the kind of setup, and you can also find this in the portal. As I said, I would have not been able to do it without this, not only because I didn't have the resources we have now in Coach Growth Hub, but with Danny, I didn't have any time for organic marketing. And I also think organic marketing in other Facebook groups, etc., it can be tricky because there are a lot of people that are oversaturated with freebies, etc., from these groups. So you have a very difficult kind of lead quality there, if that makes sense. So I just quickly show you this. What you'd want to go for is a lead generation campaign as the campaign objective. Then very likely if you run ads the first time, you need to go with saved audiences and interest-based, behavior-based targeting. I recommend top 4 countries. They're top 4 because of purchasing power and their affinity to buying online courses and coaching. Then you can put in, this was just something I worked out for somebody else. This should not be in here. Anyways, you can target your audience, interest-based, and then typically you should have an image of your lead magnet, a short copy that explains how to get the value out of the freebie. Then you set up on Facebook an instant form. And when people click on it, they see this popping up, they put in their email address, agree to your privacy policy, and then here you can send them either to your Instagram or Facebook group. And this is how you grow both your email list and your social media account in the same way. And you need a tool like Make or Zapier. I would recommend Make because it also has its freemium. So you can get the first kind of subscribers for free. And after that, I think it's $9 a month versus Zapier is, I think, $30 almost a month or $25. This is how you can connect it with your email marketing tool. So that's what I would recommend to grow your email list, and I would absolutely do this. Hi, Kailash. Yeah, so if that is you, definitely you have the how to grow your audience with the lead ads. Okay. I run a challenge using lead ads. Perfect. Got 50 people on the challenge list and 30 in the Facebook group, but only 8 people showed up. How do I engage people in a group and get them to show up? I gave them an affirmation card template and asked them to introduce themselves, but cricket. People who show up were engaging and showing up consistently, and I get very good testimonials. Okay, so you need to be aware that there will only be a certain amount of people engaging and showing up. It's actually the same with the memberships. Did you know that only about 10% of all active subscribers, we have 6,000 paying monthly members, are active in a group in any given month? So that is kind of normal. What you can do to increase the engagement is to really share from yourself. So the more you are giving and revealing with your intentions, with your stories, with your daily habits, the easier it will be for people to engage. The biggest mistake I think people make is they confuse like giving value with providing information, but you more or less give value by providing insight in how you hold yourself and how you see things. But I would say 8 people, if they showed up live, especially, that's a lot, right? So I'm streaming right now in all 3 of our groups and just 9 people are watching, right? Many people will catch the replay. Make sure to download the replay, upload it also to YouTube, send people to YouTube from your email list, right? So keep sending out the replays, and really stay consistent with it. Yeah, definitely. I show it to you so you would recognize it when you're looking for it. It's called Make. Make.com. That's the tool. Okay. Okay. I think I showed this in the launch dashboard. I wouldn't want to call it a numbers game. This is the launch dashboard that's included in Funnels and Ads Pro and Coaching Mini Membership Method. And here in the launch debrief, you can see that throughout the launch, I was still sending out emails. And you can see it was 500 people that came more into the group throughout the launch. And then you can see always how many members were active. So now you said you have in the group, how many members? Let me just quickly see. 30 members and 8 are active. So 8 out of 30 are 26% are active. So that's a little bit, I have to go very soon. That's a little bit on the lower end of activity. So definitely try to drive people back to the Facebook group with the emails. Send out an anticipation email before you go live. Send people to the replay after. Send people to valuable posts in a group. Send them to freebies in a group. So I don't think it's a numbers game. I think it's a connection game. It's a matter of how well or how consistent you can show up as yourself and reveal insightful things and document your journey. And the more consistent you are, the stronger the relationship with your audience will get. So it's a, how can I say this? With the consistency also comes a lot of trust. And that's something you cannot solve like with one good live, right? You need to build it up over time. For perspective, when I had my first lives in my Facebook group, I had nobody watching. And then I think on the third, I had a few people watching, I think 3 or so. And that was like, already somewhat kind of scary. So in the beginning, it will always be a little bit lower, but the longer you can sustain, the more consistent you can keep showing up from where you are and with everything you truly got, right? With what you do, what you believe, how you can add value, the better it will get over time, right? It's like also how you develop a friendship, right? So first we're friendly and hey, and then maybe over time like Jess and I, you cannot stop sending yourself memes, so your partners are eventually like, do you want to marry her because I'm over here, and you've been texting each other memes for hours now. So it takes time to develop relationships. So I don't think it's a numbers game. It's it's building a relationship or building relationships at scale. And the more like and some people are faster with trust and with connection. Some people are a little bit slower. But the more like you are here and willing to build, the more eventually it improves over time. Struggling with my ideal client, set in as now pivoted to membership for women, help with the overall well-being, creating positive habits, changing negative self-belief, manifesting and getting into energetic alignment. I'm getting much more engagement from women in my other group than for female entrepreneurs. That's a really good question. When you look into your engagement, is it maybe certain topics that really resonate with your members? For me, what really resonated with my members was the high value for low ticket. It was the authenticity. It was also the growth mindset. So look into your content and look into how people engage and think what is working particularly well. And I wouldn't necessarily focus on an ideal client. If you go for the niche GPT training, for example, that's in the portal, I would more focus on what's the next kind of solution that I can provide, right? And more create kind of my content from there and say, my ideal client can be everyone who would enjoy this solution. So I would more zoom in different messaging angles that work. I wouldn't be too concerned about really having to carve out this ideal client, because that's for me also an evolving process, right? You have ideal clients that are of all genders and ages and political backgrounds. And some are ideal clients for that specific offer, and some are ideal clients for all the offers. So I think it's good to do ideal client work just to have the introspection and reflection and think about things that you need to kind of think through once to get better at communicating. But I don't think it's like with your vision. Everybody thinks that you need to have I don't have a crystal clear vision every single day. And I have often days where I don't feel my vision at all, and where my vision is more like a feeling I'm drawn towards, and my values can shine a light on. That's probably the best next right step. I think it's similar with our ideal client. Sometimes it's like, yes, this is my ideal client, and some days it's like, who actually is my client? So we shouldn't get too hung up on it and just really lean into what resonates with my audience. What do they want more of? When do they ask questions? What questions do they ask? Can I answer them, right? What do I think is meaningful? What do I want to say more of? And just keep the conversation really going with your audience. And eventually you'll see that some things really are really clicking with them. Also, doing goal setting and accountability for women who self-sabotage and procrastinate. Okay, and that's really good. This is also like a really good topic for showing how you were consistent with that. So, if I was you, I would daily post like, hey, this is my daily self-management worksheet right now. So here's potential procrastination traps that wanted to pop up throughout the day. Here's how I handled them. So this is very much a matter of you walking your talk and showing your audience, also with consistency, right? And how the more you can hold yourself like this, the faster you build a connection. If they see, if somebody sees, wow, she's really always showing up. Yesterday, these tasks were on her to-do list and they're actually done. It's like, I wish I could do that. And that kind of, this role model, being a role model, like actually, and if you slip talking about it, really showing how you hold yourself, this will create a connection. Yes, I can very quickly brush through it, but I have to pick up my son. I wanted to record videos. Now I got stuck chatting with you guys, which I also love. So we have every single week we have a different training product. So this week it's kids chore charts. Then we have the digital products profit challenge. So those were 5-day challenge. plus, all the replays and workbooks and resources provided. So this is like the educational component, also with the PLR Revolution Challenge, where we try to ensure that not everybody's just selling the same product, but people actually understand how to rename, reframe, repackage, properly bundle items so that they can really stand out on the market with that. Then we always have a limited edition. Last month it was small business edition. Then before that it was a beauty business edition. Now we have the coloring books. So the idea behind the limited editions is that they are only available for a month, and after that they disappear. And this is kind of to reward loyal members that are longer with us. And we always try to make it something that is really in demand. Hence the coloring books for this month. Then here you see templates, all kinds of templates. Basically what we do is we use a tool called Inside Factory, and we browse through Etsy, and we see always what is in high demand and has relatively low competition. And these are the products that we create, right? Because if you're beginners, many of our resellers sell on Etsy, right? A lot are also coaches and course creators, but we want to only create products where somebody would also have chances of selling them on a marketplace. So we don't want to just create random products. We want to create only products actually based on what's selling. The affirmation cards now have become a seller on Etsy, but those we first created for coaches more. And then you see coaching worksheets, single and multi-page worksheets. The multi-page worksheets are almost like workbooks. Coaching client welcome pack. We have so many. We have over 409 products. So all kinds of done for you content, templates. We have all the way to Adobe Lightroom templates. So planners, promos in a box, Adobe Lightroom presets, done for you email sequences, Google Sheets dashboard. So really all kinds of resources, and we're adding every single month. So we add on average 30 to 50 products every single month. Okay, you guys, I'm so sorry. I have to hop off. It was super lovely chatting with you, and I'll see you on the Once in 1,000 Ads Growing Coaching Mini Membership Method on Thursday for the live coaching calls, and Coach Growth Hub members on Friday for the live Q&As. Make sure to submit your questions or come on live to ask your questions. And yeah, it was super nice chatting with you. Thank you for tuning in. Bye.